Have you ever wondered what it's like to have a real wand? Well, in today's video, I want to try and put one of these things to the test. Let's give it a go. You may have a wand, but it doesn't help with the aim.
Wands, the pinnacle of wizarding technology, finely crafted pieces of wood used to shoot magic at other wizards. With their finely crafted wood wands as an extension of their very body, they use them to inject magic into the world. So join me today as I take my wand. I give up.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Screen Tested. I am your host Tyrant, and today we're taking a look at wands. Yes, this particular wand replica I purchased very recently, and I thought, why not make a video about it, because this one has a little bit of a party trick. It's a little bit more realistic and a little bit more functional. Now, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, just in case. When I say it's functional and realistic, I mean that it can kind of simulate magic in a very specific way. Not that magic is real. Anyways, this one can do this, which is kind of cool. That was a little bit more disappointing than I was expecting. That's what she said. I couldn't help myself. Let's try again. There we go, that was a bit better. That's what it's supposed to do. This thing here basically ignites a little bit of flash paper and simulates kind of magic. It shoots out a bit of flame. Now you're probably wondering, what is flash paper? Flash paper is this stuff. It's used by magicians and people who do magic. It has a low ignition point and it creates a quick little, for the most part, safe flame. And then this over here is a wand replica. Now I'm a little bit hesitant to call it a replica because it's more like a big lighter. It has a button, a battery, an on-off switch, a charger, and then up here it has a coil which actually heats the flash paper and shoots it out the top. And then they've just put a wand facade over it. But this is what we're going to be testing in today's video. Now, I thought to myself, like any normal person when they saw one of these things, how much damage can it do? So something that I wanted to discuss very quickly about this particular wand replica is the reloading method, or lack thereof. Now, what you're supposed to do is grab a piece of flash paper like this, crumple it up in between your fingers, and then load it down the barrel. Then you'll use the wooden dowel, which is basically a plunger, to push it down so it touches the coils. Now, the reason why this is interesting, because first up, this is like a musket, like, you know, how you would load in your gunpowder and then put your shot in, plunger it down, and then after that, you press the button to fire. And hopefully you get a good shot. Now, what I find interesting about this is, first up, that takes forever. That took a long time. You guys saw how long that took. Now, I want to see if I can optimize that to make it a little bit faster, or I don't know what I'll do, but I just want to make that faster. I feel like that's way too slow. So starting off in today's episode, we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit out of the ordinary. I'm not going to start with a build or a modification. I'm just going to see what the wand can do on its own. I'm going to try and fold up the bits of flash paper in different orientations, different thicknesses, different amounts, just to see if I can produce different results and find the most optimal for today's project. And honestly, I spent a good hour or so doing this, and the results were absolutely abysmal. They were terrible. And I think that's down to the design of it. First off, I think the barrel is too small to allow more flash paper to be used. You know, the more the better, really. And then on top of that, the coils down the bottom seem to be a very bad way of igniting whatever fuel source it is. And the reason why is because it's only a thin piece of wire that is the coil that heats up, right? That gets damaged easily and can get clogged up. So I decided to completely scrap the original wand and buy a new one. Now this one here is a plasma one, so hopefully it won't have some of the same issues that the other one had. So once I got that one, I cut off this top sliding mechanism. It seems like for some reason that's what it needs to activate. Cut that off because it was getting in the way, and put a new brass barrel on the top. This one has a much wider diameter, so I can fit a whole lot more fuel in. And not only that, because it has that wider diameter, it means that I can load it with simply one finger rather than having to do the whole plunger method, which takes forever.
But now it's time to see if these modifications yielded any tangible results, and because I have a large diameter bore on the barrel, it does seem that I can put more flash paper in, which equals more firepower for the most part, but still absolutely nowhere near what I wanted or needed. Now I do want to mention that off camera I did try a whole bunch of different fuel mixtures, and honestly none of them provided any good results, anything worth noting, which is why I didn't even bother to film it. Yeah. So with that, let's get to some testing. I say testing very, very liberally today. Go. So this thing honestly looked like it did 0 damage, no hit points. However, for the most part, it could be used as to temporarily stun someone. I mean, it shoots a fireball for the most part, and I did inspect the areas where those fireballs hit, and to be fair, it was very, very hot in those areas. So, I mean, maybe in a super non-lethal way, in a scary sort of way, this thing kind of works, maybe. That's not what I was aiming for in today's episode, but it's kind of what I gotta go with now. Today's episode was an unmitigated failure. Honestly, this thing sucks. Now, there's a couple of caveats here. I did try a couple of different fuel sources. I did try to make the fuel more potent. I did try a bunch of things, and none of them worked, in all honesty. So I just had to stick with the flash paper, and the flash paper by itself doesn't really do that much. I was able to make a much larger burst, and that did produce a lot more heat, but it isn't nowhere near the type of damage that I was looking for, if I'm being honest with you. And now I've also run out of flash paper, and you're probably thinking, why didn't I order more flash paper? I did order more flash paper, and you know what they sent me? Paper. So I'm currently out of options. And I want to make this clear. I want to make this clear before we finish out today's episode. It's not that I can't make this thing more dangerous. I could, make a bit of a longer barrel, maybe put an object or two in there. Like, there are things that I could do, right? It's not that I can't do it. It's that I can't do it. I hope you understand what I mean by that. But that means today's episode is ending in failure. I was bound to get one eventually. But thank you for watching, guys. I genuinely hope you enjoyed. Wands. I mean, you just use a gun. Thanks for watching, guys. I genuinely hope you enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of today's episode, and as always, I'll see you in another episode. Have a good one. Bye-bye.